Hey everyone, welcome back. I am back on the hiker trailer. So I had to take about 4 months off. Once it hits winter in Ohio, pretty much done for about 4 months. So was able to get through about maybe just shy of Christmas, and it's end of April. And as you can tell, trees are got leaves, birds are chirping, and in a t-shirt. Speaking of which, go Dayton Dragons. So they are Dayton's high A minor league baseball team, affiliated with the Reds. So what I'm working on is underneath the hiker. So some of my other videos I talked about just the wrong kind of wire. So it was a mix. So there was some household stranded. So it's okay, it's stranded, at least it's not solid, right? But it's household wiring. And then some of the other wiring was, I would say, DC, like hookup wire, but it was bare copper, not tin copper. And, you know, if you're going to run wire on the outside of a vehicle where it's exposed to the elements, you should really try using, tin copper wire. So, yeah, I'm going to start getting down below here in a second. But first, I'm going to show you some things on the table here. So what I'm doing under the hiker right now is installing these cable gland housings. Before we get to what this is, let me tell you what was under there before. So that is a piece of black silicone, and what they did is they took like a 3/8 drill, drilled through the bottom of the camper, ran the wire, and then tried, spooging this up into the hole. Well, the only problem was like I could flick this with my finger out of the hole, so it wasn't really filling the hole or covering the hole that well. I don't think there was any water damage back there. So cable gland housing, these things are typically advertised as for solar wire. When they come like this is typically the size for solar wire, but you can get the cable glands separately that are for much smaller wire. The way these things work is you see the fingers, and then there's a gasket. That's I think a tapered gasket, and the more you tighten this, the more those fingers squeeze, and the more that gasket will adjust its diameter to the wire, and that makes a watertight penetration. Now, I was going to install this particular one on the bottom of the hiker because I just needed a couple wires, like the marker light, the brake light. I had a couple of these laying around, and I'll install these instead to future-proof some of what I'm doing here. So this is a double, and I can actually fit in this smaller PG7. I think this is like a 12 or 13 millimeter. This PG7, which is the old standard, will fit right there. I checked both inside and out, and like if you're really going hog wild with wire, you could actually probably add a couple here. Just want to make sure. Probably wouldn't work with like heavy gauge wire, but with thin gauge stuff, plenty of room in the cavity to make it all work. So on the smaller one, this one came with pre-drilled, not pre-drilled, but sort of pre-drilled, pre-molded holes, because it doesn't go all the way through. One in that corner, one in that corner, and then one back here. So on this larger cable gland housing, it did not come with those molded spots to drill holes, so I had to do it myself. The only thing to watch out for is making sure the hole is drilled far enough towards the edge where the head of whatever fastener you're using has clearance from the housing. So that's really the only thing to watch out for. To install, so these are hand drilled, not measured, not from a template. So you want to make sure you mark right side and left side, and then you got to match drill the holes to the bottom of the trailer. So I thought I was going to be able to use this silver pen, but the tip doesn't go far enough into the housing to make a mark. So what I did was I took a mechanical pencil, just put the tip a little bit further out than I normally would for writing, and just went in each hole, did this back and forth a few times, and it leaves a really nice shiny graphite surface where you can easily see where the center of it is, and then you can drill it. And one thing you want to make sure you do when you drill these holes, aside from making sure the head of the fastener clears the housing, you want to over drill them slightly so the fastener is a little loose in the hole, and that'll give you some slop to move this around in case the holes that you drill in the bottom of the trailer aren't exactly in the center of these holes. So the other thing I did after I used the hole saw to cut this out, to get it centered back on that hole, all I did was with this, so here's a hole, and all I'm doing is making a mark up here, a mark down here, a mark over here, and a mark over here, roughly kind of like creating a bullseye. And then when I put this back up, I can use these holes to with the bullseye marks I made to make sure this is more or less centered on that hole. Okay, so I think that's well, one more thing. So you can make a gasket. I think this is meant to be installed with just RTV silicone. That might work on the top, probably doesn't work on the bottom. Gravity, so the fasteners, but you do want to seal this from water. So you can make a gasket, which I've done in the past, or just use some RTV silicone, which is what I'm going to do. And I think the next step is let's get this gooped up and go to the bottom and install this. So this is what it looks like installed. Yeah, so I didn't, when I went to go get the RTV silicone, what they had was expensive black stuff, Permatex, of course, and then this off-brand blue stuff, and it's a lot cheaper than the Permatex. So yeah, I just got the cheap stuff because it's not like I'm doing a valve cover or a diff cover. So on something real like the valve cover or diff cover, they'll tell you just get the fastener going until it starts oozing out, wait an hour for it to set up a little, and then put the final torque on the fasteners. Yeah, this isn't a diff cover, so I just went all the way. They also say don't wipe this out on a real cover because you could pull it out of the mating surface. And it's just fine, beat it up like that on the outside, it's not hurting anything. So I just typically leave it like that. In fact, you could create even a bigger mess by trying to get it out. Hey, so I just wanted to do a quick comparison of what I did versus what Hiker did to end the video. So what Hiker did was take a 3/8 drill bit, drill a hole in the very back corner on both sides of the hiker, and shove a wire through it, and then pump it full of silicone. The problem is that, you know, you could get your finger and poke it and it'll come out. So that silicone plug wasn't in there very well. And who knows how long, you know, it would have kept water out. And, you know, plywood doesn't like water. So what I did was a lot better from a weatherproofing standpoint. You know, the cable gland housing, a pair of those is like 10 bucks off of Amazon. What did I use? Maybe a buck or two, and silicone for both of them. And the biggest time sink, so that's, you know, labor cost, wasn't drilling the holes in the flanges of those cable gland housings. It was me getting under the hiker on my back, drilling holes, on my back, you know, holding the cable gland housing in place with the silicone on it, trying to get a couple screws started so I wouldn't have to hold it anymore. This is a lot simpler, a lot quicker if you're at the factory and you have that bottom sheet of plywood not installed yet, and you've got easy access to it. Yeah, so this is not a time-consuming job at all, and it's not expensive to buy the cable gland housings or the cable glands. The one thing you'd probably have to do differently at the factory for an OEM install, the cable glands that came with those housings, they're too big for the marker light wire, the brake wire. You'd have to use a smaller cable gland, like the PG7. I've got my hand right here. And these just won't fit in those cable gland housings that I bought. One solution is, you know, you do the hole saw in the plywood like you normally would, like you saw in the video, and get a piece of scrap aluminum, pretty cheap, and then, you know, you put wood screw fasteners around the edge. You know, it's silicone down with RTV, just like I did with the cable gland housings. And then, you know, this right here is kind of how it would look. You know, you just drill the hole for the cable gland right where you drilled the hole in the wood, right? And the nice thing about this is it's short enough where it sits well above the bottom of the frame. So if you're out in the sticks, on the rocks, whatever, it's not going to hang below the frame and get caught on anything. Yeah, so maybe that's how you do it at the factory. And you get a much better weather seal than that silicone plug that's just sitting there on a hope and a prayer. So, you know, maybe hikers, you know, watching these videos, maybe not. If they are, hopefully, you know, they're improving their manufacturing, and it's not, the things I've pointed out so far aren't much more expensive, if any more expensive. So hopefully this gets them, you know, to a better quality and better protection on the trailer. All right, that's it for this video. Probably the next set of videos is going to be some wiring on the bottom of the trailer now that I've got the cable glands, cable gland housings installed.